Welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio. I am Caroline Cheng, your host. The mission of Awake to Oneness Radio is to inspire the world to awaken to the universal truth of oneness. Science is now teaching us that all life is interconnected, that we are all one. And ancient wisdom and spirituality has been teaching this for eons. What you do to another person, you're literally doing to another aspect of yourself. And when mankind awakens to the truth of oneness, there will be peace on earth. Today's show topic is Living the Truth of Oneness, Q&A, with David Dove Fishman. David is a dear friend of mine. We met over a year ago on Facebook, and we co-hosted a show together on Awakening Together Radio for almost a year last year. So I'd like to welcome David to Awake to Oneness Radio. Welcome, David.
Oh, thank you so much, Caroline. Really a pleasure and a privilege and an honor to be here with you again. This is, I think, our second time together. Yes.
Yeah, actually our third. Our third, including the webinar.
Oh, yes. That's right. Exactly.
And we co-hosted together, so we're good friends.
True.
Yes. So true. And I'm so glad because actually I had another guest planned and that fell through, and you said, hey. So it's all synchronistically perfect. And you came up with the topic, Living the Truth of Oneness, which I think is so key. It's so important to understand that. Now, before we get into the topic, dive deep into that topic, share with our listeners, like I said, you and I have done 3 shows together here on Awake Together, on Awake to Oneness, but we've also done several programs together on Awakening Together Radio. But the listeners tonight may not be familiar with you. So can you please give us a brief history of how you are where you are today?
Okay. Thank you for asking. I actually had a spiritual rebirth when I was 32 years old. That was back in 1972, in which almost everything that I thought was true then, I realized it was like a different world, and I went through this rebirth, started looking to see if there was other people who had that same experience, and then very quickly found there were many who had the same experience. And then just a few years later, A Course in Miracles fell into my lap back in 1977, and I've been a student teacher of A Course in Miracles for the last 40 years, and it has provided me with experience and insight far beyond anything I could have ever have dreamed of. One of them being the experience of oneness, which in Course terms is heaven. The recognition that we live in the simplicity of oneness, that nothing opposes what love creates.
Yes, and it's interesting. Like I shared with the listeners, we met over a year ago on Facebook, and we had one conversation, and you were like, let's co-host a show together. And you said, I'll never forget how you said to me, I sound like a Course student, a Course in Miracles student. And my awakening came in 2007. So it was much more recent than your awakening, and it was with a science film, a quantum physics film called What the Bleep, is what really inspired my awakening. So it's just so interesting that even though I haven't really studied A Course in Miracles, I'm in complete alignment with all of its truth because, like you say, truth is truth. And for me, the simple truth of oneness, because it was the line in What the Bleep that really woke me up, inspired my awakening, was the biggest problem in the world today is the illusion of separateness. That nothing is separate. Nothing is separate. No one is separate from another. And when I really understood that at a heartfelt level, not an intellectual level, but in my heart and soul, I knew that was true. And it sparked an awakening. And when you have that awakening to the truth of oneness from a soul and heart level, you live your life differently, kind of like what we're going to talk about in this show. But continue to share with the listeners about your journey to awakening.
Okay, yes, and as you say, you begin to have experiences that everything is like given to you rather than you have to go out and get, which kind of reverses all the laws of this world. That whatever you're giving, you're really giving to yourself. One of my pictures on my Facebook page is called "We Live in a Sea of Synchronicity Within an Ocean of Love." That every person you meet, every thought that comes to you is the perfect thought, and that you're really perfectly cared for at all times. You realize that there is this super intelligence that is far beyond anything you could ever imagine, that makes all of this safe and so.
That's so true. But I also, for me, I like to remind myself that super intelligence is not separate from me. It's a part of me. I'm in this human form. That's the lower part of me, or the little part of me. But the larger part of me is not in this reality. The larger part of me is still in spirit, and I call it my higher self. I know the Course says Holy Spirit, which has the same initials. But I know that my higher self is in charge. My higher self is creating this experience, and I'm not separate from that. My lower self and higher self are still one. It's just that my lower self is not aware of everything. My higher self is aware of everything. And so I trust my higher self, because my higher self has much broader vision than I do. So whatever happens, I know it's guided and perfect, like you just said. I know in every moment, in every now moment, I'm perfectly cared for. I'm in the perfect place where I'm supposed to be. I meet the perfect person I'm supposed to meet. And I love how the Course says every encounter is a holy encounter. So it's so true when you know. And that's the thing, when you know. It's not a belief, it's a knowing. When you know who you are, you know you're a part of, an inseparable part of the divine. And when I think of it, I like to always emphasize the fact that we're not separate from that all-intelligent higher self. The reason I do that is because I think in traditional religion, it's the sense that we're separate from God. We're separate from the divine, that, we have to live up to a certain standard to even get close to the divine. And a lot of religions, it's kind of the sense that you get. So I always stress that, yes, there is a larger part of you running the show, but that larger part of you is not separate from you. So I think that was a big,
true. Yes.
Yeah, that was a big piece of my awakening too, is understanding there's no separation. So when you know that there's no separation from you and God, what is there to fear? you know that you're always loved. Not even that you're always loved, that you are loved. That's the essence of what God is love. The essence of what you are and I am and everyone listening, the essence of who we are is love.
Yes, so true, so true. it's a changeless love too. It's eternal. It's changeless. It's not the special love that we speak about when we say, "Well, I love you. Do you love me?" It's a changeless. It's an isness. It's a verb. It's always is. It's a constant, and it allows you to recognize that. Oh yes, maybe I was this way earlier, and now I'm this way now. That this lower self or smaller self, as you talk about, does change in concept, which is form, but not in content. In content, we're always the same. That's true for all included in that oneness. If I exclude anyone, then I'm just excluding myself, and I'll feel a lack, an emptiness, in which I need to get something more. But when I include all my brothers and see them as one, as the same, I can only be grateful because all I give, I'm giving to our one self. And there's so much gratitude in that. Gratitude. Yes. Love is the way I walk, and gratitude,
So true, so true. Now, when you suggested this show title, you were talking about, and you can explain it better, how a lot of people are talking oneness and unity and that, but I think there's a difference in talking it and walking it. So that's kind of what we want to get into. So you
very
give
good,
me your,
excellent.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Whenever we are using words which are twice removed from the experience, whenever, like even reading a book like A Course in Miracles, there's 2 paragraphs here that I would like to read from a chapter called Self-Concept versus Self. Self-Concept versus Self. It's in chapter 31, section 5. And basically, we can talk about this, and that's all we do is talk about it. But if you're talking about it, it's like reporting on it. It's like, I'm reporting on it. I'm your news reporter, and I'm going to tell you, what there is and what there is not. Sometimes it's called being an editor, editorializing, as they say, oneness. But when you finally realize you don't need to be the editor because everyone already has everything. You don't have to tell anybody anything. In oneness, there's no one to tell. Actually, whatever you're giving to yourself, which is the law of oneness. The law of oneness is what I give to my one self. So you realize you're either living it, you're just being it. You see the simplicity of it rather than the complexity of thinking I have to tell everybody else what it is that I know. Actually, if I think I know something that others don't know, then whatever it is I'm valuing has really no value whatsoever because it's a lie. It can't be true that I know something that others don't know. And conversely, if I think that someone out there knows something and I need to know it, whatever it is that I'm valuing out there that I think has value because it seems like they know something that I don't know, whatever it is valueless. What's valuable belongs to me. It is what our one self is. What's valuable belongs to all equally, that we all share the same interests, the same goal, the same purpose. It's that purpose of peace. I don't have to talk to people about peace. All I have to do is extend the peace I am. That's like, if we really want peace, then teach peace to learn it, because you're going to be the recipient of it. Whatever you give, you receive. I'd just like to, if it's okay, if we have some good time, I'll just read the first of the 2 paragraphs, and this will bring us into the idea of why concepts are not exactly experience. It says, you make many concepts of yourself as learning goes on. Each one will show the changes in your own relationships as your perception of yourself is change. So we go from one level to another level, as we all know in life. I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago or 10 years ago or even last year. You know, I'm always like into a new self-concept, which we all have. We make a concept for ourselves, and we know other people who come into our life with other concepts, and we may see them as different, but that's where we have to heal our minds. It says there'll be some confusion every time there's a shift for you or shift in anyone that you're with, but be thankful that the learning of this world is loosening the grip and the grasp upon your mind, so that the things that you used to believe to be true aren't really true for you anymore. And as you're sure and happy in that confidence, which is that trust, that it will finally go and leave your mind at peace, the role of the accuser in you will appear in many places, in many forms, and each will seem to be accusing you or blaming someone else. It's the same thing. Have no fear. Have no fear. It will be undone for you. It will be undone. And I'd like to read the next paragraph. It's okay. Paragraph 17. This is the one that you'll absolutely love. The world can teach no images of you unless you want to learn them. There'll come a time when all images have gone by and you'll see that you know not what you are. It's to this unsealed and open mind that truth finally returns, unhindered and unbound. Where concepts of the self have been laid by is truth revealed exactly as it is. When every concept has been raised to doubt and to question and been recognized as made on no assumptions that would stand the light, then is truth left free to enter into its sanctuary, clean and free of guilt. There is no statement that the world is more afraid to hear than this. I do not know the thing I am, and therefore do not know what I'm doing, where I am, or how to look upon the world or on myself. Yet in this learning is salvation born, and what you are will tell you of itself. What you are, your higher self, that divine intelligence that you were speaking of, Caroline, will tell you. I really need do nothing but to step back and allow it to just lead the way, because I'm not the doer, exactly as you say. Thank you so much, Caroline, for letting me read that.
Oh, no problem. Definitely. And what I think of, yes, it's a beautiful passage you just read. But when I also think of the what we were saying about talking it and the difference between talking and walking it, from my perspective, I see like there are a lot of people, especially online on the internet, talking oneness and unity and love and peace, and those are all beautiful. But when a lot of times when the rubber meets the road, what comes to mind is I was in a spiritual study group about 2.5 years ago, and I posed the question to the group. How would you feel towards a person that killed your child? And so there was discussion about that question, and one gentleman sitting next to me said, I would definitely kill him. I would kill him. And I said, well, what if you knew that, first of all, that whatever happens in your experience, you already agreed to on a soul level, and that no one can get killed. Like your child that was killed didn't get killed without his or her own agreement on a soul level, but that person is still a part of you. And he looked at me and he said it just as calm. You truly believe that? I said, yes, I do. And there is a wonderful, there's a documentary, and I think it's all on YouTube, called Humans, and it's in segments. And there's a beautiful clip of a gentleman that's in jail for murdering a mother and a child, and he said he was, he never felt love. He was abused as a child, and what he thought love was growing up was hurting others because he was being hurt so much at home. And he said the first time he felt love was from the grandmother of the daughter and grandchild that were killed, befriended him and came and visited him and showed him nothing but love. And it's so, to watch, I just love that clip because it's just, that is an example of true love, that to see that there is no victim and there is no villain out there. It's all us creating this drama and agreeing to it. We agreed to whatever we experienced, we agreed to before we came here, and we agreed to it, our higher self agreed to it. Nothing happens to us without our agreement. And so that's where, when the rubber really hits the road, when something happens in your reality, in your experience, that devastates you, are you going to still stand firm on the belief and truth of oneness? So
everything you say is absolutely true. That, yes, nothing really happens without our consent. You might say that we accepted a contract coming into this world to that everything that happens to us is something that we came here to learn, a lesson to be learned. That puts a whole different way of looking at the world. It's not a world that things happen randomly. Actually, everything happens perfectly. Everything is a lesson God would have me learn, or love would have me learn to free me from my own belief system when I've given meaning to things that have no meaning, and I believe them. I made an idol of these things. But to free my mind, I must be willing to say, I do not know what anything is for. I do not know. Because the moment you think you know, that ties you down. It's that thinking that you know something when really there's nothing to know in a dream of separation. This is a dream of separation where you seem to be different bodies, different religions, different races, different countries, different interests. Everything seems to be different. But that is not the truth. That is the lie. That is the lie. Truth is the same for all. Truth is union, oneness, sameness, equality. That's what love is. Love is that oneness, that isness, that there's nothing to fear. Yeah. Fear only comes up when you believe in separation. When we see something is different from you, there is reason to be fearful. If something is different from you, you don't really know what it is. You have to kind of hold back, not be totally giving. And every time you withhold, all we do is we hold from ourselves. We deny ourselves. We go into self-doubt, self-denial. And truly, if I can't trust somebody, who is it that I can't trust? I can't trust myself. It's my own mind I can't trust because my mind seemed to have gotten me here. And so I seem to want to hold back and not be completely open. So it does take willingness to develop trust, which is really what A Course in Miracles has been for me. The development of trust is the recognition that I need not plan. Everything is given, and that every event, all circumstances, all encounters are all perfectly planned for my own highest purpose. That nothing happens by accident. Exactly as you were saying. Yes.
So true. And when you know that whatever happens in the isness, in the now, happens for your highest purpose, even though it was something happens unexpected, unplanned, a lot of different things this year have happened in my life that just seemed, wow, I didn't see that coming. But you know what? I know that whatever happens for my highest good. And so I don't argue with what is. I look at it, and even if my lower self can't figure out, well, why is it happening, I know it's happening for my highest good. And in short time, because I do know that everything is happening for my highest good, in short time I do see the why of why that happened. I was like, okay. Maybe a day or two later, I was like, okay, I connected it. I see why that happened. But now I don't ever get angry or upset with anyone. I can get hurt, and I can be disappointed. I just had this conversation a few days ago with a couple of people that, I can still feel hurt, and I still feel disappointment sometimes, but I don't stay there. If I feel hurt or disappointed, I don't stay there. I know that, well, that happened, this happened for my highest good. There's no blame. There's no fault. There's no judgment. It is what it is, and I'm going to, make the best of what is and see and look for the positive in what is. So whatever happens, I will look for the positive, even if it's not, if it's not self-evident. I will look for it because I know that it would not have happened if it wasn't for my highest good. So I think that is another, because people like to say it's so and so's fault why they're unhappy. It's all everything why they're not happy is someone else's fault. But I've been saying to many people lately, it's all within you. It's nobody else's fault. It's all within you, and there's no blame to put on anyone. It's just time to really ask what's going on within you, and take that time to listen to your higher self, because it's always trying to communicate. But sometimes our mind, that our mind, our thoughts are so busy in the past, are in the future, but not here and now, that because the only place that your higher self can really communicate with you is right here and right now. So when you quiet your mind and go in, that's when you'll hear. But go ahead. Oh, we have a caller. Oh, we have a question.
Very good.
Yeah, very, very good. I was just about to give out the number, but okay, we have a caller from 402 area code. Okay. Hi. 402. Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I am a student of A Course in Miracles, and I just saw your title. I thought, I wonder if this has anything to do with A Course in Miracles. So I was very pleased to find out that it did.
Yes, well, it definitely does. My guest, Dove Fishman, has been teaching, a student and a teacher of the Course for over 40 years. And your name?
Karen.
Your name. Karen. Hi, Karen. So did you have a question for Dove?
Well, Dove, it's kind of funny because every time I come up with a question, I come up with the answer, because it just seems like it's pretty simple in a lot of ways.
Yes, it is. Hi, Karen. How are you?
Hi. Good. I think, I haven't met very many people that study the Course. I certainly would like to meet some people that are studying it, and I don't even know why I want to do that. There's really, it's not necessary, right, for anything, but it would be fun. And
yes, it is. It is fun to be with other Course students. That there is a real good communication that goes on, and real support of each other, and in ways I can't really begin to say. I've been leading groups since 1980, and I can only tell you that when groups meet, and you give people responsibility where they can develop trust for themselves, they become teachers of other teachers. And I invite you to maybe enter in such a community. We have one that's online called ACIM Gather, and I'm also on Facebook at a place called Open Minds for ACIM, Open Minds for ACIM and NTI on Facebook. Please join the group and say, I'm Karen. I met you on Awake to Oneness, and I say, oh, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, I would like to do that. I'd like to find people locally who are interested in it, and I think one benefit could be the support of anytime you are involved in an endeavor. It's nice to have that support.
Yes.
And I'm really going it alone at this moment. There are a couple of groups, that meet, but many of them are daytime groups, and they're at least 2 hours away, and I work, and so I'm still looking for a study group that maybe meets on a Sunday. I would drive the 2 or 3 hours to go.
I want to say one thing. I just wanted to jump in for a second and say, when you said every time you have a question, you always come up with the answer. That is one of the most advanced places you can be in A Course in Miracles, because in a way, whenever you have a question and you think someone else has the answer, that's another belief in the belief in separation.
Right.
But as you're doing the Course, you realize that you ask of all things of this world, what is it for? Because I do not know. And if you ask with sincerity, the answer will always be given to you. That's the idea of the Course, is to recognize that you can rely upon Spirit to provide you with all the answers, because Spirit is what you are. I am Spirit. So the little small self says, I do not know. Please show me. Please tell me the way, just as you would ask a parent, I do not know what this is for. Show me. And that's how we actually teach ourselves. Thank you so much for that experience that you shared with us.
One thing that's puzzling to me, and in terms of the ACIM material and, what I understand about it, is that, okay, the way I kind of view it is that this is all the dream. Everything I'm seeing, the universe, everything. And yes, there are rules at play in the dream, right? So certain things do work in the dream, but they're only the dream. So they're really not significant in that regard. But I do have things that happen that it seems like I am being looked out for in, like say I maybe desire something or think I need something, and then it shows up. And it shows up in a very clear way, And I'm like, okay, now my understanding of the Creator in terms of the Course is that, we don't pray for things in the dream because the dream's not real. Why would that be recognized as something to respond to, right?
Yes.
So why do I sense that and have these experiences where it seems like something is being answered? Is that part of that mechanics of the dream?
No, everything that you need to fulfill your function in this world, your journey, the curriculum, everyone has their own individual curriculum, as it says in the teacher's manual. So everything will be provided for you. If something is not provided, it wasn't necessary in the first place. I mean, there is a power. It says here in the teacher's manual under trust, and it is about developing trust. As you begin to let go of thinking that you're the doer, and you're trusting to, TRUST is the acronym, to rely upon Spirit totally, TRUST, to rely upon Spirit to provide you with everything that you need. It says here under trust in the teacher's manual, it says, the teachers of God have trust in the world because they have learned it's not governed by the laws that the world made up. It's governed by a power that is in them, but not of them. It's this power that keeps all things safe. is through this power that the teachers of God look upon a forgiven world. And, as you begin to realize that you are perfectly cared for, that you are perfectly safe, that there is nothing to fear, we're actually turning a world that is based on conflict and fear and opposition and things that oppose to a world of oneness, a world where nothing opposes the oneness of God. That's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to dig down a little bit more into that because when you say we're provided everything we need, well, that can be looked at two levels. In the dream, we need food. It's good that we have shelter, and clothing. Outside of the dream, our needs are obviously have never not been met, right? It's only in the dream that they haven't been. So are you saying we're provided for within the dream in terms of the things that are, we have bodies,
yes,
we need care, etc.
What it is that you really do need, the only thing that we really need, the food and the shelter is going to be given to you. That's part of just being here in this world. It's part of your journey. But what we really have need for is a healing that provides to us an awakening to our true identity. Because the only problem is an identity problem. If we identify with the body, then we have bodily concerns, bodily complexities, like where am I going to get my next meal from? But when you identify with your true identity, which is spirit, your cause, you're not effect. So the course can be said to be a course in cause and not effect. As you begin to take on your true identity, which is cause, the things of this world that seem to concern you are not a concern anymore.
Mm-hmm. So true.
I hope that's helpful to you.
And yet we continue to go to jobs and continue to buy groceries.
Karen, I want to kind of interject here too. I know, and it's a knowing, it's not a belief. I know in every now moment I'm completely cared for. My needs, everything I need in this moment I have. If I'm cold, I can put on a sweater. I can turn up the heat. Everything, and then everybody on the planet, if you really look at what you need in that now moment, you're provided for in that now moment. And the only time we feel like we're not provided for in a now moment is when we're not looking for where our thoughts create our reality. So if we're thinking, I don't have what I need, then we're creating that reality. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I get where you're coming from. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I understand that way of thinking about things. But, in terms of the course, it's just a little different in terms of, well, I think I made my point already. So.
Okay, Karen, thank you so much, and I hope to see you again on Facebook, or come to ACIM Gather. I'll give you the instructions. Please do. Thank you.
ACIM Gather, you said?
Yeah, it's ACIM Gather. It's called ACIMGather.com. If you go to that website, it will tell you how to enter the room, or even how to listen to our radio. We're on the radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you can actually listen to us wherever you are.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I will do that.
I'm hoping too that you'll meet people closer to you, that you don't have to travel 2 and 3 hours to. I'm sure. Are you connected with Facebook at all?
Yes.
Okay, because there are a lot of course, and on YouTube also. There's a lot of course material and course groups. So I'm hoping you find somewhere, a group closer to you, or even just a neighbor that you can form your own group. And that might be an idea, because you may have neighbors you may have neighbors that you're unaware of that are also studying the course. So you might want to put up a little flyer on your local community board, in your library, or at your grocery store, and start your own study group. And you might be surprised at how many people you find right in your area.
I also just want to interject. We have a retreat, Weekend of Freedom retreat, where we have about 6 or 7 Course in Miracle teachers in North Carolina, October 5th through the 8th. And if you want more information on that, please do get in touch with me. You can find me, David Fishman, on Facebook. I have a couple of profiles, David Fishman and Dove Fishman. You can find me at either one. Thanks.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for calling. And I know you're going to do great with your study and find a group close by and get more information online as well. Thank you so much. Okay. All righty. Okay. So if anyone else, let me share the number, because some people sometimes listen by phone. The number is 347-857-1083. Let me make sure I said that right. 347-857-1083. If you have a question, please give us a call. We definitely would love to hear from you. Now, Dove, you were about to say something before Karen had called. So did you? Hopefully you didn't lose your thought.
Yes. Very good.
Okay.
Actually, you were just saying then that being here now is where the peace and the certainty is, where you realize that you are totally and perfectly provided for, and that is so true. That the peace that passes all understanding is right here, right now. So
yes.
that peace, which is the goal of healing your mind, the peace that doesn't have to figure things out, doesn't have to plan, knowing that you are perfectly cared for, and that you're totally safe, that there's nothing to fear. You do have that experience in every moment of now. In every moment of now, is in the eternal now.
Right.
If you're stuck in the past, which means, well, you have grievances or regrets, or you think that somehow you missed out or you lack, and the mind is always busy trying to tell you something that is not true. It's up to us to say, I have no more need of this anymore. I really have no need of trying to figure things out. I already have everything. So it's your willingness to see that you lack nothing. But
right.
that takes trust. You're trusting in, exactly as you say, in your higher self, and developing trust can take time. It takes practice. You begin to recognize, exactly as really Karen was saying, our last guest, that she realizes that whenever she's looking for something, she has a question, it's given to her. The answer is given. And you begin to realize, wait a minute, there is this super intelligence, this magnificence of the universe that's working for you. That the universe is not here against you, it's here for you.
Exactly.
And yes, and when you have that experience, you all of a sudden say, oh my goodness, I was looking and it's always been here. And where is it? It's right here now.
Right.
And now.
Yes.
And that's the living of it, rather than the reporting on it. Yeah.
Yes. And knowing that nothing is being done to you, you are doing it to yourself. You are creating your own reality. For your higher self is creating this reality for your highest good, and your higher self knows all of the lives that you are simultaneously living in this now moment. Because there is no past, there is no future, there is only the now, and all of the lives that you're living you're living right here and now. But the power is in the now. Because a lot of people are like, well, I want to find out, well, why am I going through this? What happened in a past life? Or, that caused me to go through this, and it's not about what happened in a past life. Your point of power is now. When you awaken in this now moment, it affects all those other simultaneous lives that you're living. It's a ripple effect. And all you need to know, really, all you need to do is be grounded in the now. And know that now is where you create from. You create the next moment from this now moment, and you want to raise it's all about vibration. Raising your vibration, keeping your vibration high, so that next moment will be one of joy and peace. And when Karen was talking about this being a dream, which we know, it's a dream of our own creation. That's the thing. When you know, I'm creating this dream, so I can change this dream. If I don't like what I've created, okay, let me wipe the canvas clean and start over and paint a new picture, because you have that ability. But she was saying with the dream, the thing with the dream is you're creating it, and that the only thing real is love, peace, joy. Those are the only things that are real, and those you have at every moment. You have those. You have, even if you're not aware that you have them, you still have them. They're still there. So all we have to do is remember, we are love, we are peace, we are joy. It's a peace that surpasses all understanding. And when I awoke to the truth of oneness, I understood that for the first time. And I heard that in church. It was taught that Jesus said, the peace that surpasses all understanding, but I didn't get it until I understood and awoke. And like you said, Dove, it's not that anybody doesn't have this already. We all have this within us. We all know this within us. We came here and we chose to forget who we are to have this experience, but we can all wake up to the truth. We can wake up to the truth of who we are, and when you wake up to the truth of who you are, that's when every moment, every day is just, it's wonderful. And you want to share it with others, because the first thing I think everybody does when they wake up is want to share that with others. And like you said, it can't be taught. You can inspire others to awaken. That's why I always say, you've heard me say many times, I don't call myself a teacher, because all I can do is inspire. And we're all teachers. We're all teachers and we're all students, because we all have something to give another. So
yes,
it's just,
so true.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the one step we have to take in order to experience this, in this world, when you come into this world, it seems that the world is cause and we are effect. That somehow the world out there is causing us to feel a certain way. Some days we have good days, some days we have bad days. There's some days we're depressed and we wonder why these things are happening to us, that we feel maybe we're a victim. That thought system is the thought system that basically keeps you slave to the grind, thinking that why are these people talking about oneness when, as a matter of fact, the world is so different than the oneness and the peace you're talking about. Well, in order to see it, you do have to choose once again to see things differently. Instead of being at the effect, instead of being a victim and helpless without any power, to recognize that you're cause in your own life, that you are the cause, not the victim. There's a lesson that says, I am not a victim of this world. I invented it. I made it up. There's one section, chapter 21, section 2, which I think is one of the most powerful sections. I think without first seeing this, you probably don't really have an experience of what the Course is really saying. And it says, this is the only thing that you need to do for vision, for happiness, release from pain, and the complete escape from all sin, differences, disadvantage, despair, all to be given you. Say only this, but mean it with no reservations, for here is the power of salvation. I am responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience, and I decide upon the goal I would achieve, and everything that seems to happen to me, I have asked for, and I have received exactly as I have asked. Deceive yourself no longer. And the key word here is deceive, because we do deceive ourselves when we think that the world is happening to us. No, it's happening for us. It's not happening to us. So that takes a change of mind. Deceive yourself no longer that you're helpless in the face of what's done to you. Acknowledge that you have been mistaken, and all effects of your mistakes will disappear. So the mistake is the idea that we're helpless, powerless, a victim, when in truth we are powerful beyond measure. We are truly powerful beyond measure. We are the cause of our own experience.
So true. We are the cause. We are the creator. We are creating it. So just like I said, if anything happens in my experience, whether it was, unexpected, not planned, I know that I created that, and I created it for my highest good. So that's why I don't get upset or angry with anyone ever. I would never, because the only person to get upset or angry with is myself. So I know that. We were actually talking, I was talking with some colleagues earlier today about the concept of oneness, because people will say, when I first started this show, friends of mine would ask me, what is this oneness? Is it a new religion? I was like, no, because oneness is inclusive of everything. It doesn't matter what you believe. You could be an atheist. You could be agnostic. It doesn't matter what your religious belief is. So it has nothing to do with the religion. It's all-inclusive of everyone and everything. So oneness, to me, is almost the opposite of a religion. But we talked about the science of it, too. And the science isn't new. The science is over 100 years old. The quantum physics, everything, our computer, our smartphones, our smart TVs, everything, all of new technology comes from quantum physics, which at the core tells us that we are everything, all matter, what we call physical matter, is energy, and it's all interconnected. This is what science has been teaching. This is what science has been knowing for over 100 years. I won't say it actually has been teaching it, but science has known this for over 100 years, and now they're using that knowledge to create all these newfangled gadgets that we have. And there was a scientist on my show that said one time that if a person says they don't believe in oneness, their cell phone should disappear in their hand, because they shouldn't be able to own a cell phone if they don't believe in oneness. He said, oneness isn't a belief. It's a fact of life. Just like you need air for your body needs air to sustain itself, to sustain life. You need air and to breathe, be able to breathe, or your body would not survive. That is a fact of this life. And the oneness, that everything is interconnected, everything is energy, and that energy is interconnected, is a fact of life. It's not even a belief. It's a fact. It is. But so we got into that conversation as ways of explaining to people what oneness is.
Yes, and oneness, if you're using the thought system based on concepts and beliefs, you'll say, well, how do you see that we're joined in one when there's so much conflict and controversy and wars and people fighting each other? Even politics, there's the people on the right and the people on the left. Everything seems to be divided in this world. But the oneness that we're talking about is a purpose, that we all share the same purpose, and purpose is of mind, that we all share the one mind. It's like the world that we see, this world of differences, is within the one mind. Now, if I'm sharing the purpose of creation, then I'm sharing a purpose of seeing all as one. If I am being deceived And I can deceive myself because that's what we have done by actually making a world that appears to be separate and apart, appears to have separate interests and different interests. If I'm listening to that thought system, I will continue. So it is up to us to actually choose once again to see things. There's a lesson number 28. Above all else, I am determined to see things differently. So it's what do I want to see? Do I want to see the conflict? Do I want to see controversy? I'll see it. I will see there's something to fear. But if I really choose the peace of God, the peace of mind, the peace of God that passes all understanding, then I'll ask to see things differently. And we have that vision. We can have that vision once we become cause and not effect.
So true. That's what you just said is why I thought, well, Spirit, it came directly from Spirit in 2001. It was a couple of weeks after 9/11. Spirit told me loud and clear, turn off that news. And that was all that was on at that time. After 9/11, there was nothing on television but news. And I was never one to watch a lot of news. But after 9/11, that's all that was on television. And Spirit told me, my higher self said, turn it off and don't ever turn it back on. And I question, I'm like, why are you telling me this? Because I heard it clear as day, not audibly, but within me. And I said, okay, I'm not sure why, but I'll be obedient. I'll do it. I shut off the news and never turned it on since. And then it was actually over 10 years later I understood why. Spirit said turn it off because, like you said, the news, mainstream news, has you focusing on the things we were just talking about war and separation and politics and people being on the left and the right and all these things that if you're choosing to look at things differently, you don't want to look at those things. And no news that I need to know I have ever missed. Whatever, I'm on the computer all the time, but it's not like I watch news on the computer. It's just that whatever news I need to know about, it comes to me. I'm perfectly cared for. I'm perfect. Any news I need to know about, I know about it. So, but I don't need to watch news to know what I need to know in the news.
I like to use the expression, everything is given to you on a need-to-know basis.
No basis, exactly.
Right. Now, the ego thought system, which is the conceptual thought system, says, I need to know everything now because it wants to plan for the future.
Right.
So if you're planning for the future, you're living in the past trying to have a better future than your past. You're not living here now in the eternal present now where, as you and I both said,
right.
That is where the peace of God that passes all understanding. There's no judgment. There's no nothing. There's just the oneness.
We have another caller from New Jersey.
Okay.
908. I know that New Jersey is 908 area code. Okay. Caller from 908, you are on the air.
Caroline, it's your friend Tracy Smith in New Jersey.
You know what? I thought that was you, Tracy. How are you, sweetie?
I'm so great. I'm glad to connect with you, and I hope you don't mind me barging in.
Of course not. You're more than welcome.
I figured I would be. And, Sir David, I have to tell you, I'm enjoying this so much because I'm a student of the Course in Miracles, and I love that you're talking my language, and I have such a practical question that I haven't been able to find an answer for, so I thought, why not just ask you? Is that all right if I have it?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much for calling in, Tracy.
It's really my pleasure. I really do try to catch the show whenever I can. So here's the question. I have a meetup, and I study the Course in Miracles, and myself and another friend are completely committed to it. It's brilliant. It's wonderful. I love it. So, and I try to live my life very much according to the principle. So when I go out in the world and I talk to my colleagues and associates, my children's teachers or associates, and I say to them, I'll say, well, I study the Course in Miracles. Do you know what that is? 98% of people will say no. So then I will say, oh, well, the Course in Miracles is, and then I freeze. Because I don't know, I'm afraid to say, well, it's channeling, it's the channel of Jesus Christ, and so on and so forth, because I'm stutter over the words, because I know what it is. I know very clearly what the book is, but I don't know how to say that to the secular population without stumbling over my words. And I'm not a minister. I'm a mom. I'm just a person.
Okay.
Do you understand my question?
Yes, of course I do. And, I have some good news. The good news is the Course is a self-study course. The Course is for you. It was given to you for your own healing. I know that there's this passion, especially amongst new students, to literally, as you say, you're totally committed. You have this incredible love for it. It's brilliant, and you want to tell the whole world. But exactly as we were just saying, everything is given to everyone on a need-to-know basis. You were open for it, so the book fell off a shelf and given to you. So this is a self-study course. There's a lesson in the course, lesson number 127, I think it is. It says, when I am healed, I'm not healed alone. When I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. So even though we see people out there who seem to be in the need of a course, and, you might say, well, of course they're in need, and they're in so much pain, they're hurting. I like to tell them there's another way. But their lesson is their lesson, our lesson is our lesson. As I begin to heal my mind, I see that everything is really perfect exactly the way it is. There's that wonderful lesson, 268, let all things be exactly as they are. You begin to recognize that that is the peace of God that you can extend to all. There's a line in the last obstacle to peace, in chapter 19, section 4, the obstacles to peace, it actually says, let him be who he is. Let her be who she is. Seek not to make of love an enemy. So, the people that seem to need it, that's just our ego who thinks that we're different than them. They don't need it. We don't really need it either. What we're learning is that we don't really need anything, that we already have everything. And to share that, seeing your brothers and sisters having everything, is to see them as perfect rather than as anything less than perfect. Holy Spirit starts by seeing us as perfect, includes our brothers and sisters, and sees the perfection in them. This inclusion invites atonement automatically. And it's in this automatic atonement that you begin to realize that there's nothing to fear, nothing to worry about, to be truly happy, because you already have everything, truly.
That makes perfect sense to me.
That's so true. That's so true, Tracy. I understand that completely. I look upon everyone, no matter where they are in their development, in their journey, as perfect. I know that they're divine aspects of God. That is who they are. They are love incarnate. They are God incarnate. No matter what they're doing, even if they're robbing the bank at that moment, they're perfect. They are perfect. Not that I'm condoning. So don't anybody say, oh, she's like it's okay to rob a bank. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I look upon everyone as perfect, exactly the way they are. And usually when you have that question and you are sharing, and it's okay to share with people that you're studying the Course in Miracles, I would just say to them, you know what, maybe it's something that is really speaking to me, but it's hard for me to explain that to you. So if you're interested, maybe you want to maybe go to the library and check it out for yourself. Just keep it short and sweet. Don't try to go into any big detail of it. But
I think that really does answer the question, to say that it's a self-study course and the subtitle is The Foundation for Inner Peace. That makes perfect sense, because you're right. If I'm stumbling over words, then there's something that I'm not seeing. There's not an easy flowing dialogue, and my ego's probably in play. So I really do understand that perfectly. And it is, I don't need to save anybody. I certainly don't. I can live so comfortably and quietly in peace with the information that I have from the Course and from all other, even from conversations like this. So that you both have helped me very much. Just to understand, there's no need to stumble over anything, and if it comes natural, then it's meant to be.
That's so true, and that's a beautiful insight that you just shared. Thank you for that. That's so. That it's always for us, and once we see that we're given everything, we begin to generalize and see that everyone is given everything at the perfect time for them. That their journey is their journey, their lessons are their lessons. We don't really know what their lessons are, just as they don't really know what our lessons are. So that's it is a highly individualized curriculum. It tells you that on page 1 of the teacher's manual.
It really has changed my life. I want to thank you both very much for being here. I really appreciate being able to call.
Thank you, Tracy.
Well, thank you, Tracy. Thank you. I mean, you can call me later too. We're going to talk. Okay.
You better believe it.
Thank you so. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay.
Bye-bye, guys.
Good night. Bye-bye. Yeah, that's
right.
my dear friend. Yes, Tracy from
she's
Jersey.
lovely.
Yes.
You have some really beautiful friends.
Yes. You being one of them. I like to share that with my listeners that, occasionally, like since now that Dove is my dear friend and he's not far away, he's in New York, I'm in Pennsylvania, when things like happen to me in my life, that I'm like, whoa, that threw me for a loop. Let me call Dove. Dove is the person I pick up the phone. I was like, okay. I was like, Dove, okay, this just happened. What do you make of this? And how, So you're the one. Dove is my person that brings me back to reality, and the reality is the oneness. The reality of there is no blame or judgment or villains or victim or even right and wrong. And Dove is the person I call when I need to be brought back to reality.
Thank you for sharing that. Actually, and I'm very easy to talk to. I always give free counseling sessions, and then if people think that they can save time by coming back, we arrange a regular counseling session for people. So I'm always here to help.
Yes. You've been now, Dove. Share with our listeners how they can find you again. I know you were telling Karen, but you have several websites because you have the One Mind. Go ahead, you share.
My ministry is onemindfoundation.org. Onemindfoundation.org. I have a book out called Into Oneness, which came out. It's available for us everywhere. It's Into Oneness, and it's another book called The Open Mind, Loving Yourself. Either one kind of gives you the concepts of what I teach. The experience, of course, is always up to you. OneMindFoundation.org, or you can find me on Facebook at my group. We have almost 29,000 members now. And that's called Open Minds for ACIM and NTI. Open Minds for ACIM. ACIM means A Course in Miracles. And find me at David Fishman or Dove Fishman on Facebook. Always there. Just say hello. I heard you on Caroline's show and just want to say hello. And, of course, we just become friends and have you join our group and share your light and blessings with the other members and receive light and blessings from them.
Right. Also share the ACMI gathers, how to find you on the radio there. Yes. Sure.
At acimgather.com, you go there and it says where the radio station is. First of all, there's a schedule. We're on literally 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. There's a radio station, so you can listen in. You can listen in the car. You can listen, from your cell phone, wherever you are. You can listen, and you can enter the room and join in. And then, if you are a student of A Course in Miracles, we even invite you. And I guess I'm talking to you, Karen, if you're there, to become one of the teachers, to take your place among the teachers, which is really the purpose of the teacher's manual, to recognize. And it's also lesson 154. I am among the ministers of God. So this is like a a contract that you already made. If you are a course student, as Jesus says in the course, I don't choose my channels wrongly. You are one of my channels for sure. It's up to us to be willing to take responsibility and to become cause and to share ourselves. So that sharing is available to all at ACIM Gather. It's a way of developing trust in your higher self, to trust that Spirit is already giving you everything. Every word, every thought is given to you. That's the purpose of ACIM Gather.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, this has been an amazing, amazing dialogue. I am so glad that we got to address a few questions from listeners, and I love, you're my dear friend, and you and I are going to be doing quite a bit, keep doing quite a bit together. Lots going on with me, and I know you're always busy, but it's our life, basically.
Yeah.
Oneness is your life, and oneness is my life, and it's a day and moment to moment thing. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for suggesting that we talk about living the truth of oneness, because I think it's very important, especially in this day and age. Now it's about not just talking the talk, it's about actually walking that walk. So thank you so much, Dove. This has been amazing, as always, and we'll be in touch, I'll be probably calling
I just
tomorrow.
I just want to say to your listeners, a person doesn't have to be a student of A Course in Miracles to live in the here and now. It's really a focus. It's your willingness to recognize that being here and now is where the peace of God is. You don't have to look for it. You don't have to study for it. You already have it. The peace of God is within all of us. I just want to share that. Thank you.
Yes, that's so true. That's so true. For me, living in the here and now is so key to my walk and to my path, because I understand that a lot of how we live our life is from programming, subconscious mind. I don't know how many listeners are familiar with Bruce Lipton, the author of Biology of Belief, but a lot of how we live our life is from subconscious programming that happened in early childhood. It could be even things from different lifetimes, but it's subconscious. It's not something we're conscious of. And 90% of our life is lived through our subconscious. But what quiets that subconscious, that makes that subconscious mind null and void, is when you're in the now. The subconscious mind does not exist in the now moment. So when you focus and ground yourself in this now moment, you're not operating from a subconscious mind. You're operating from your current now moment.
Yes.
The present, the power of the presence.
Right. The power of the presence says there's nothing to fear. Nothing can threaten you in this moment, in this nowness. Nothing. If anything does threaten or you feel any anxiety, you must be listening to a voice that's not your own voice. You're listening to a voice that is in your head. And when you were speaking about upsets here earlier, that sometimes you get upset but it doesn't last long. Lesson 5 is a very powerful lesson. It says, I'm never upset for the reason I think. So it's never something in this world that upsets you. Never something in this world. It's the voice that's telling you that there's a reason that your personal small self should be offended or should be insulted or should be angry. And if you listen to that voice, you will go through upset. But there is another way of listening. You can listen to a voice of peace that knows who you are, knows how perfect you are, knows how innocent you are, and sees your brother the same way that your brother and yourself are one. So I just want to leave you with that. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Dove. I love this hour, and actually it's been an hour and about 15 minutes.
Okay.
So thank you so much, and we'll be in touch because You know,
Yes.
I'll be picking up the phone.
All right.
Okay.
I'm here.
Love you.
Thank you so much.
Have
love.
a great
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Okay.
You too.
All right.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.